The full House expected to vote on a criminal contempt referral for Trump ally, former top aide Steve Bannon. Bannon continues to defy a subpoena by the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. And joining us now to discuss, D.C. Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone, who was brutally attacked by insurrectionists while protecting the Capitol that day. Mike, thank you for coming in this morning to chat with us about this. I was curious when I heard earlier this week Liz Cheney suggesting that Trump and Bannon may have plotted this attack, that they actually may have been very involved in plotting this. What you thought about that?
I'm not a part of the investigative process. I came and gave my testimony as a witness to that day. If those allegations are true, then I want accountability. This is what this whole process has been about for me. It's accountability for elected officials and individuals involved in their political apparatus who may have contributed to the events of that day, either through their rhetoric, insightful rhetoric, or through some overt action. Just as much as it's about getting accountability for the individuals who perpetrated the attack, not just on me, but on the Capitol complex itself and the hundreds of other officers that responded that day to defend the Capitol. But it's also about accountability for law enforcement, not only bringing to light the failures of that day, but also addressing them, whether it's through training, equipment, the resources that officers need to protect themselves in that type of environment. I want to see real accountability for that day.
Steve Bannon is not cooperating. He is not cooperating with a subpoena. And this is being referred today to the Attorney General. What is your message to the Attorney General as you call for accountability about what he should do with this criminal contempt referral?
I don't really have a message for the Attorney General. I certainly wouldn't want anyone to tell me how to do my job. He knows what his responsibilities are. He took the same oath that I did. I understand that this has become, or some individuals who are being investigated are treating this like political theater. But me, myself, and many other Americans are taking this very seriously. And I want to see those individuals take it seriously. And if they don't, they need to be held accountable. We have a process. If you defy a subpoena, you should be held criminally liable.
Former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice was talking about this look into January 6th, and she said this.
Now, I think what Senator McConnell may be referencing is, yes, it's time to move on in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm one who believes that the American people are now concerned about their what we call kitchen table issues, the price of gasoline, inflation, what's happening to their kids in school.
She's saying time to move on. What do you think?
I would love to move on. I talk to officers all the time. Many of them are just tired of the January 6th narrative for the simple fact that they don't see anything happening. They've given up on the process. For me, in my law enforcement career, I've been a part of a lot of cases. Sometimes they're not as interesting or as sexy as other cases, but it's the job. That's how I look at this. Until there's real accountability or every means of attaining accountability has been exhausted, I will continue to bring attention to the events of January 6th and how we got here. My hope is that, aside from the specific individuals, the former president, his sycophants, I think that, we tend to get distracted, and it's not to say that that he's not or doesn't potentially bear some responsibility here, but Donald Trump did not create the environment that we live in now. He just did an amazing job of exploiting it for his own personal benefit. And I think every American needs to look at their own actions and what part they may have played, however small, in the events that led up to January 6th. This is a greater discussion for the entire country, not just for Republicans, not just for Democrats, for Americans.
What's been clear to me talking to you over the months is that it's just hard to move on when there is no closure.
Correct. I don't even think we've begun the process of closure, unfortunately. And it seems like there's a whole lot of people in Congress right now. They happen to be Republicans that are trying to stand in the way of that process.
So, while some people say move on, there are actually a lot of people out there who say, from what? Let's listen to what some Trump supporters think.
Oh, Antifa, like the corrupt FBI, basically rhinos, corrupt politicians, the deep state, all of that.
I don't believe that it was people like me and people like you see over there in that crowd that did it.
Who was behind?
FBI, CIA, Antifa were used, other groups like that.
It seemed like a lot of them were going into the Capitol to attack Nancy Pelosi and perhaps hang.
Who?
What's that?
Who? Which one? The one with the bullhorns? He's not a Trump supporter. I don't care what his resume says. He's not a Trump supporter.
What do you do with that?
I don't know. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, I guess, but you can't make them drink. Yeah, I mean, again, this is, those people are responsible for, their own thoughts and how they come to their own conclusions. But, it doesn't help when your elected leaders are lying to you about the events of January 6th, not participating in or, being dishonest about the discussion as to how we got here, and continuing to pledge fealty to a leader who I think his only interest is self-interest and continues to perpetrate lies for his own political gain. So, I mean, in some ways, I feel sorry for those people.
Why?
I mean, they're being lied to. They're being manipulated, exploited, and they're Americans too.
As frustrating as this situation is right now, as you look for accountability, the truth is it could get worse. The clock may very likely run out on all of this. That's clearly what some of the legal maneuvering is for former President Trump and his associates. Where would that leave accountability for the insurrection?
I don't know. Again, I'm unfamiliar with the political process of attaining accountability. Sometimes that seems like an oxymoron. I guess it would be left with the Department of Justice to seek criminal accountability for those who may be criminally culpable. And I feel, in my humble opinion, that there's quite a few.
So we've talked a lot in recent months, and you've been so honest about the mental health and the physical health challenges that you faced in the wake of the riots. How are you doing now?
I'm as far as like processing the events of that day, I think I'm doing pretty damn well. It's been a long haul. My physical injuries have healed. I'm, kind of in a limbo right now at the department, waiting to go back to full duty. But that is my plan, to return to full duty.
Do you feel like you're on the upswing right now? How do you look at the trajectory of how things have been for you following the insurrection until now?
No, it's been more of a roller coaster ride than a pendulum swinging from one end to the other. Some days I feel like we're making some headway, and then others, you know, I feel like, you know, the more realistic approach is that this is going to eventually pass from our memory bank, collective memory bank as Americans with no accountability whatsoever.
Well, Mike, thank you. You always come on and remind us why it can't, why it shouldn't. And so I really appreciate you speaking with us again this morning. Michael Fanone.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.